each side.
Right.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. We're going to get started in the sense that we're going to go around and let you guys introduce yourselves, just because some of you guys don't know each other. There's still photographers now here and some motion people. So in order to get the community to get more involved with each other, I'd love to hear who you are and what you do. Let me start it off. I'm JD. I'm your speaker for tonight. I'm a still photographer. And I'm the man today. So go around and give us who you are.
Oh, I picked the perfect spot to sit down. Absolutely. My name is Mona Joyner. I own a company called Mojo Makeup, and I do hair, makeup, and special effects a little bit. But mostly just like production makeup these days. I don't really do anything else, but like I do photo shoots as well. I'm originally from Finland, so something fun about me. That's why I have a funny accent.
Is that what it was? I thought you were just drinking.
That's it.
Hi, my name is Ian Lovin. I am owner of a startup production company called Screenbird Productions, and I am a videographer, aspiring director of photography. We offer a lot of different services of video, camera, graphics, makeup, and sound. So if anyone's looking for that anytime in your productions, please let us know. Pleasure to meet you all.
I'm Andrea with Andrea Craig Photography. I'm a newborn, maternity, and family photographer out of Niceville. And yeah, I specialize in printing for my clients, album, print, wall art. If you have babies around that need photographs, send them my way, please. That's great.
I'm Gail Morgan of Volusia County.
Judy's in the hot seat.
My name is Callie Lewis. I work for Volusia County Facilities Park Maintenance as the administrative supervisor.
Amanda Maxwell, also work for Volusia County Parks and Facility Maintenance. We do all the permitting and things like that for our parks and whatnot.
Ron Coons, I'm a cinematographer and for about 40 years, and a still photographer for about 50 years. Spent the last 30 some odd years in Nashville, moved down here a couple of years ago, and semi-retired, but you never retire.
I'm Sierra Lopez. I do videography, photography work. I really like more on the video editing side. And I also like more on the side do like, my parents have a shop on the Harbor Walk, so we do like custom shirts and like hats and stuff like that. So yeah, cool.
I'm Jessica. I own my own production company, That Girl Media, but more recently I'm more of a stay-at-home mom with my 18-month-old. I am a director-producer. I directed and produced a documentary film called The Flight of Jackie Cochran, and exclusive, we just got into the Catalina Film Festival.
Hi, I'm Lauren Walker. I just moved here a few months ago. I'm a still photographer looking to get more into freelancing in the area.
Hi, I'm Nick Smith. My production company is just down the road in Fort Walton Beach, but technically I live in Western New York near Buffalo. So I'm bought between the two. It's an easy commute. You should try it sometime. I'm a producer, director. I make short films. I make independent feature films, big movies, little movies. And also I write a lot about what we do as well, either as a journalist or a textbook writer, nonfiction writer. So I'm always looking for people just to chat with to find out why we do this crazy thing, and what makes you tick. But it's lovely to see all of you, and I hope I get to chat with you afterwards.
Awesome. My name is Joshua Yurkowski. I'm a board member of PSA Northwest Florida. I also own Angel Force Protection, and I'm the founder of Angel Force Foundation. I have a production company called Streetlight Angels Productions that we produced a film with, in conjunction, the Heel Reel that's going through the film festival circuit right now. And yeah, and JD, I remember we were working together at the Destin Songwriters Festival. I was like, oh my gosh, dude. Are you going to do it again this year?
I don't know. I think so, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, all right.
I have some stuff in the works, though.
Hi, everybody. I'm E.J. Dupre. I'm a special effects makeup artist. Been doing it for over 17 years. Done a lot of traveling, working on big films and very different things. It's good to be home. So I'm looking forward, and as I'm trying to wind down, A lot of people won't let me. So you stay where you belong and you teach and keep the art alive and keep it going. So absolutely. And then I'm actually starting a new company called Loving Touch Castings, where I take a lot of things that I do and actually make them more into art form. So I take turning people into works of art now. So
This stuff.
this stuff. Yeah, so that's what I do now.
That's awesome.
I'm Megan Caulfield. I own the Heal Real production company. We tell true stories of trauma, and just worked on a really big music video last week. And I'm also the president of the PSA, so you guys started this meeting without me. Great leadership on my end.
It's the pre-show.
I did actually,
You just didn't want me to do your intro. That's what that was all about.
You should do it anyways.
Forget
You did
it.
run.
Forget
You
it.
did run.
I'll let RJ introduce himself first.
Yes, I'm RJ Murdoch with EmeraldCoastTV.com, ProLiveVideo.com, video, whatever.com. But my niche is live multi-camera production for stage events, for sports, and I also have a studio in downtown Fort Walton Beach, which we just reconfigured for podcasts. So if you're interested in doing podcasting, we're already preset with automatic camera switching as each person's talking. We've got one show happening right now. It's called What We're Doing. It was basically on Omni Radio. They just shifted from radio to live streaming for the most part, and this is their second week we're starting off, and we're getting ready to do some Choctaw football on Friday. So I have done that since 2018. So I'm getting ready to kind of get involved in high school football again, which is a lot of fun. It's just, yeah, we're gonna try to see if we can make some money with it this time.
All right, well, I am going to introduce JD, and I'll talk about the PSA after his presentation. JD, I was trying to remember how we met originally.
Here.
Oh, shoot, at the PSA meeting.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
She introduced us.
Go figure. Okay, cool. Well, that's how it all goes down right here at the PSA. What was really amazing about what most people don't know, unless you get a chance to talk to JD, is the wealth of his background and experience in photography. Like, he's worked with brands that we all know and love, extremely high-end luxury brands. I mean, open up any magazine and you would see probably some, I mean, maybe not today, but when he was working more in commercial, you know, you're looking at his photography when you're looking through magazines. Like, this guy's no joke, the kind of clients that he's worked for. But I love your story of coming to the Emerald Coast kind of quasi-retired. Most people in production here do other things as well. That's just the nature of the industry in this area. But that how you fell in love with like telling people's stories and connecting with families, which happens to be probably what, I don't know, you'll have to tell us if that's kind of the majority of the photography work that happens here. It feels like it would be, you know, to service the people that come, the families that come and visit here. So, but his background's incredible. If you have not seen his work, please check out his website. I have done several photo shoots with JD and have loved absolutely some of my favorite headshots of all time were from the ones that we did. My hair doesn't look like that anymore, so now we gotta do new ones. But so I will, and what he's talking about tonight, so, you know, for those of you who has never been to a PSA meeting before, anyone brand new? Okay, yay, welcome, yay, thank you. Well, I know, Lauren, you joined us for our July social, which is more of a social event that we do in the summer, but the majority of our meetings are education-based, obviously networking, but we're also really focused, and our mission is to bring educational opportunities. So EJ came in last October, I think it was, around Halloween, and did like a whole special effects makeup tutorial. And so tonight we're really focused on some really important education. I have to admit, I asked as we were diving into this topic, I realized that I don't know the answer to these questions. And I should, as someone that's considered a resource in this area. So there's a lot to know. It's really complex. It's not that I couldn't figure it out, it's just really complex. And so what I think we can all learn from JD tonight, whether you do photography or not, is his professionalism and the way he runs his business. At the end of the day, if we're gonna be involved in production, we're also involved in business. And it's important to know that as well as your art and your craft. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, JD.
I am from Texas originally. I am. I'm originally from Texas. I'm a fifth generation Texan. And It's in my pocket, I hate that. Let me just give you a little general background of how I got started. I came from a small town in Texas, in the middle of nowhere. Fell in love with National Geographic as a kid. My brother gave me the opportunity to travel the world, and I was in this town that was so small that if you just drove by it, you wouldn't notice it at all. And it just, for some reason, it just touched my heart, all the images and stuff, as most of you have experienced National Geo does to people. It opened the whole world to me that I didn't know existed, and it was a great experience. I had no idea at that point in time that photography was going to be my vehicle to travel the world and see things. I just knew that it was interesting to see all these imagery. I basically started doing photography out of necessity. Somebody in my hometown was a photographer, left, and I started doing what I'm doing now, which is family portraits, because that's what was in my community at that point in time, the need for it, right? And at the age of 16, I started my first business. I started doing small family portraits and quinceañeras and weddings and all that little stuff that you do as a, and I was self-taught. And self-taught of hard knocks, but I learned. And back in the day, as you all know, as older people, some of you are much younger, don't realize this, but we used to have to deal with film. And being a photographer required financial support because it was expensive. There was no way of making mistakes and just erasing it, because if you lost a roll, that was money gone, and you couldn't say to a client, I'm sorry, I don't have your photos, I messed up. Polaroids were the only way to be able to see if you were getting a good image or not. All those things were tough to learn at first, and I did make mistakes where I had to say, I'm sorry. I just messed up and I didn't get the shots, And it taught me a lot. But it also taught me that I needed to learn more. And so I went to college and I studied at the university. Well, let me just back up a little bit. I did go study for a year and a half computer programming. And that was back in the day when it was Fortran and Pascal, and you actually had to write code, go to a room, take them a card, and hand them the card. They would run it to the computer, and he would shoot it back out and say, sorry, didn't work. And you'd have to go back and rewrite the whole thing, right? And you'd do a punch card. And I just had grown up in a business family, and I like people. I like talking to people, so I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. Maybe I should have, because that was in the 80s, and I would have been able to write some great programs back then, but neither here nor there. I went to the University of North Texas, which gave me an opportunity to go study fine art. I was telling this to this young lady over here. It was a great experience. It took me, a small country boy from the middle of nowhere who had no idea what Rembrandt lighting was or what the Mona Lisa was, to be honest with you. And it taught me the basics of fine art, photography, lighting, art. And that sounds kind of airy and stuff, but it really did make me realize what design, what elements mattered to make an image better and more refined. But at the same time, I realized the first semester that it wasn't teaching me the business aspect of the stuff. So I started assisting in Dallas in the 80s, late 80s. And I got into the market, and my 4 years that I was in college, I was assisting in Dallas, working with Joe Barabin, Richard Reams, Stuart Cohen, big names that some of you who are in film know who Stuart Cohen is probably. I was his second assistant. I was his first assistant, second one that he hired. And so I worked with him for a long time. Joe Barabin was another guy that was from the 70s and 80s who, if you did advertising work, that was the guy that you hired because he was just incredible. And Annie Leibovitz I traveled with a little bit. I did people like that because once I started doing assisting work, I spoke Spanish, so that helped. Because I got into the Dallas market in the 80s, there was no Spanish speakers that were assistants. Next thing you know, I'm the one they're hiring to go to Mexico and South America and Latin American countries and doing stuff, right?
Oh, darn.
And so I got into the market. I would have to tell my professors, I'm sorry, I'm gone for a week because I'm in Costa Rica. And so it was a nice place to land. And one thing those guys taught me was this, and I still tell it to people because Sierra works with me sometimes, and I tell her, you can stand next to me and you can shoot the same thing I shoot, but I'm bringing me to the photo. So I don't care if you stand next to me and shoot right next to me. You're not going to create the same image I do, okay? And those guys taught me that. Same thing with business. I can tell you how to run a business and how to make it work, but it's not going to be the same because you're going to bring in your own touch to it, okay? So I worked with those guys. By the time I finished my 4 years of college, I had been delivering stuff to art directors in ad agencies in Dallas and going, hi, I'll come back and see you soon, come back and see you soon. And when I graduated, we had to have a portfolio. So I could walk into an ad agency and say, here's my portfolio, Jim. And Jim knew me already because he had been seeing me around. And so I worked with these guys. And the same thing that I told you earlier too was that some of these guys we would go to, after a photo session or a big production or whatever, and we'd sit with the art directors, and the art directors go, hey Joe, I got another project for you but I only got $2,000, why don't you do it? And Joe would go, I'm not touching that for less than $5,000 a day, right? I'm just not doing that. But JD will do it for you. And I was like, $2,000, yeah, I'll do it. And where do I skin the cat? Kind of thing, you know? So they were very generous and helped me along the way. So after college, I was starting to shoot stuff, but I also got into what was called the circuit back then. And I traveled Dallas, Miami, New York, started doing assistant work for all kinds of people. And that's where I met some of the people like, you know, some of the shooters from the fashions world and stuff like that, and portraitists that you know. And I just did that circuit for a while, and it was really nice because I got to learn everything. Oh, one thing I did carry with me the whole time, I had a notebook with me, a small little drawing book basically, and I would sketch all the setups. Like if we set up in the studio, I'd sketch it. And I'd put the power of light that we did on each one and see how we bounced what we did and stuff. And so I had a collection of stuff that I could work with always. And well, either way, I just started doing advertising work and commercial work and all that stuff, and I did that for many years. She was very gracious in saying that I did a lot of beautiful stuff around, you know, for different corporations and stuff, and I did, and it was wonderful. And back in the day, man, and I don't work in the advertising commercial world now, but you know, a $2,000, $3,000 day rate was nothing. You know, it was pretty common. When you were getting better, you got more like 7 or 10, you know, and you were doing really, really good. And, you know, a shoot would last 5 to 7 days, 10, you know, depending. And then I got into car shoots, and that was even more worse. That was worse, but wonderful because the money was huge. You'd have to wait 90 days to get paid, but man, when you got paid, it was amazing, you know, because it was a lot of money, right? But at the end of the season, or at the end of that campaign, that thing ended up in the trash can. And it kind of, I love the money aspect of it, but I did feel a little empty, right? And it was interesting because when I moved here, something else changed. I did get into another genre of photography, which was corporate. At the end of my career as a professional photographer in the market, I did corporate events for companies, large corporations. And in the time that I started, corporate event photographers would go to an event, shoot film, have to get it developed, have a runner send it somewhere, get it developed, then they'd get images back. In the meantime, I had already gotten into digital by another avenue that had happened to me. And I was shooting digital before a lot of people were. And I took my knowledge of digital to the corporate world, and especially the events stuff. And all of a sudden, they were getting their stuff in hours instead of days. So my one-man shop that I busted my butt with, one client that I started off with, and I'm gonna name him just because everybody knows him, but it's La Quinta. And they gave me an opening, and I started doing all their sales events, all their corporate events. By the time I left doing that, I had 25 shooters shooting for me and 50 digital techs. We were on the road about 200 days of the year. I've had lunch in the Great Wall of China. I've been in the Sistine Chapel more times than I could even tell you. I had a place in Rome. It was an incredible, incredible experience. I can't even, we'd spend hours talking about the things I was able to do doing corporate events. And the budgets were huge back then. I mean, they were massive. I saw my budget line one time, and I saw the event, and I saw my budget, and it was this big, right? The flowers were this big. The budget for flowers was this big, right? And mine was this big, and I was going, I'm not charging enough, you know? So that was business, and it was wonderful. It was great. But I don't know if anybody's ever hit this. And I'd heard about it, and it was a nasty little nightmare that they throw out for artists, that you hit a wall, and you can't create any longer. And I hit that. I hit it hard. I didn't pick up a camera. 10 years? I think it was 10 years. I stopped doing any kind of work. I just stopped. I couldn't even see picking up a camera. When I got here, I'm gonna get back into this soon, but when I got here, this place is magical. I don't know why there's no more commercial work here than there is now. There should be more commercial work here, because it's a beautiful place, and it's a great place to shoot. I started doing landscapes, and landscapes are, man, I love landscapes. I love landscapes, but they don't bring me any money, to be honest with you. And I sell some prints and stuff like that. It's wonderful. And it's a fun thing to dabble in, but it didn't bring me money. It does other people, not me, okay? So I started doing portraits, and this is where we're gonna get into this talk. So I got here, and I went to the beach, and I saw some photographers, and I said, tell me about permitting. What do I need to do to get a permit? Because everywhere I've been, I have to have a permit. I don't care what it is. If it's a private place, I have to get permission. If it's a public place, tell me where I need to go. Tell me, you know, because I have, you know, I can do it myself. I've had stuff do it before, but I want to know where to get it. And they were like, permits, you don't need those here. And I was like, what do you mean you don't need them here? They said, you don't need them here. I was like, so you can shoot anywhere, anytime, any place, make money off of a beautiful studio that you're not going to pay anything for it? And they go, nah. He goes, you know what? I'm going to say this because they know this already. And these two people know this, and they're going to fight this, and it's going to cause problems. It is causing problems. But there's not enough commerce.
Not enough what?
Enough consoles, enough beach patrols. There's no one that stops you from shooting on the beach. You know why? Because they're gone at 5 o'clock. Guess what time you photographers go on the beach? 6, early spring, early fall, 6 o'clock, you're on the beach. Nobody's gonna ask you to sing. Summertime, 7 o'clock. If you're there earlier than 6 or 7 o'clock, maybe we need you and I need to talk about photography a little bit, okay? So nobody to ask you for permits, nobody to pay anything. Isn't that wonderful? I love that. I pay, permits everywhere I've gone, and now I don't have to. I didn't feel right about that. I want to be a professional. I want to be a businessman. I want to be here for 10, 20 years. I don't want to skim or not know what's going on, right? So I came to Gail. I called Gail and I said, Gail, tell me about permits. And she said, you need to talk to the girls. You need to talk to, and I said, okay, tell me what it is. They said, basically you need a permit in Okaloosa County. You need to have a business permit or license. You have to have your business license. And I said, well, how much is that? How many hundreds of bucks is that? $35. $35. Here, I'll pay you right now. You know, let's do business. Then I call them. They give me the packet that gives me all the information that's online, and I fill it out, and I'm done. I'm in business. I'm thinking, great. Walton County, they don't even require for you to have a business license. You don't.
Walton County is very different.
Well, I understand, but so they don't require that. All they require for you to have a permit. That's it. Yeah, okay, so you have to carry insurance, but come on. You should have insurance. What about if somebody falls and slips, or there's a piece of glass on the sand and they step on it? Baby, if you don't think they're gonna come after you as a business owner, you're mistaken. And that is a very hard lesson for you to learn. Insurance doesn't cost you that much, and if you can't pay for that insurance within 2 or 3 shoots of your session of booking sessions, you have no business being in this business. But let me tell you that the day that you don't have it and somebody gets hurt, you're going to regret it. Simple as that, because it can take you for everything that you can. Because if you're not an LLC, they can come after you personally, okay? So keep that in mind. So talk to them, simple. Talk to Walton County, they said, whatever it is, $200 something like that. Baby, I'm still under $1,000. That ain't bad, right? I go to the state. I go to the park where everybody goes and shoots. You know what they said to me? 0. You pay to come in. And that's it. Come in, do whatever you want. Shoot all you want. And I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. But you know what? 9 years ago, I started with them. And they can tell you, the day that I opened my business, I have been getting permits for them. And I pay my stuff. How many times have I been stopped? Twice. Twice in my career have I been stopped. It's in my phone. I pick it up, say, this is who I am. Here I am. I look at my clients and I go, see? I'm a professional. You see that? They're not going to stop me. They're not going to tell me to stop shooting. We're not going to have to say to you, I am so sorry. We can't do your session tonight because I'm not licensed. Now, how embarrassing is that? If you're a business owner, you can't operate doing your business because you're not getting the proper stuff. So avoid it. Just hands up. Look, this is the wild, wild west out here. You can do whatever you want. You can do it, and it still is. But I hear rumblings, man. I hear rumblings. You can see it in 30A. You can see it in Sandestin this year. If you've been to Sandestin this year, you can only shoot in 2 locations. Before, it was wide open. You could shoot anywhere. What's going to happen is when I got here and I started looking at photographers here, you'd go on Facebook and there'd be 30 responses to an ask for, hey, my family's coming, we'd like to get a photographer. We get 30, 45 people responding, at the most. This morning, 1 request for a photo session had 101 requests. Okay? And like I told the ladies today, an average beginning photographer easily in 6 months of work here can make $30,000, $38,000 in that range, easily. 4 days a week, 1 session a day, easily can be done. Let's say $30,000 times 100 photographers at average. And most of us should pay a lot more than that. If you don't think that those people in the city, in the county, in the state don't realize that that's happening, that's lost revenue on them. I don't want to make predictions, but I'm going to tell you this. I have never been around a city, county, or government official that once you tell them that they're losing money, isn't going to react in some way, and it's not going to be favorable. It just isn't. Because they don't know your business. They don't know our business. They don't know our industry. So what they are going to do is they're going to do a blanket reaction. And all those things that you think are so cool right now, you're going to end up hitting a wall. And it's coming. I can feel it. It's coming. And they're going to hire officers. They're going to come after hours. There's going to be things that are going to pop up. That's what I would recommend. If they sat me down and said, how do we fix this? I would say, you stop hiring those people from 9 to 5, or hire another crew that does only from 5 to 8, and see what happens. And start handing out tickets, because that's the only way you're going to stop this. You see on Facebook and any other social media, photographers complaining about each other. There's too many of us out here, or the prices are too low, or there's photographers on the beach or on the sand dunes. If you don't have regulations and you don't have a unified way of regulating people, that's what happens. So they're going to have to jump in, because now we're having 100 people running wild on the sand dunes, and I'm not, okay, that's a little extreme, but they do, because not only do you have the local 100 photographers that are asking for work or going after work, but you're having people coming out of state who are saying, hey, I'm coming to Dustin, I can shoot for you, but they don't know that there's rules. And they go out and do this, and they do things that they're not supposed to. And I'm not saying this is gossip, because it's not, because I spoke to I tend to go and have a conversation with Angela and her counterpart in Walton County once a year, when the year starts, and I say, is there any new regulations? Is there something going on? Do I need to know anything and stuff? I do the same thing with the state. I go to the state park and I ask the same thing. The last 2 years, they've been complaining overcrowded, photographers being on the beach, photographers cutting the rope, photographers staying too late and giving their officers lip when they ask them to leave.
JD, I just have to interject about the state parks. They've revamped, in the last 2 years, they've revamped their permitting process, and it's very strict. It takes about 2 weeks.
To do it now?
The best of circumstances to get any permit.
For film?
For film and for photography, for anything. Like right now, during high season, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, they don't like anybody shooting.
Well, but you see, what's happening now is that they've asked, the knee-jerk reaction was to combat this, because I talked to them and said they were trying to see if they could get the state to charge for usage of the beach, right, for photographers, right, some kind of payment, right, so that they feel comfortable with it, and they couldn't get it to happen. So the knee-jerk reaction was to then require them to have, they have to have you have to get a reservation, right? And if you don't have a reservation for that day, you can't get into the park, right? So that's the knee-jerk reaction that happened. So all of a sudden, photographers were complaining that they couldn't get into the park, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's because we didn't handle our industry correctly. And if you leave it to somebody else to handle it for you, the reaction is not going to be the one that you want. So, yes, you have to pay. Yes, you have to run a business. But that's operating business expenses. And in the end, this is how I think of it. I'm going to write it off at the end of the year. Tax man's not going to get that money from me. I'm going to write it off. Every business expense I do is a write-off. So I'm not giving them anything. They're not taking anything from me. Here, please take it so I can write it off later. It's my thought. But that's not everybody's thought. But if you're doing business here, just do it right way. And The regulations will protect the environment, the people we're dealing with, and our industry. Our industry is the important thing. I'll get more into that later. I don't want to keep these ladies too long here because I didn't give you all the information. Can we hit the next button? No, let me see the next slide. Let me see. Let's go to the next one. 30 years, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. There they are. There's their information. Okaloosa, Texas tax receipt, Okaloosa Birch permits, and Walton County permits. Okay, they're Melanie and Angela. Right. They were not able to make it, but they did send some representatives. And I don't want to keep them too late. I appreciate they coming out and talking to us and being able to be here. If you guys, I want to open up the floor to have them speak. If you have any questions, please ask them. They know. They're the ones that know. Don't act like a turtle. Don't put your head in the shell. Stick it out. Ask.
Can we start by having y'all give us just a rundown, like someone like Lauren just moved to the area, she's a photographer, she knows nothing. Like, where would you have her start, and what would be the process you would tell us?
So we have,
Oh, by the way, Callie?
Amanda.
Callie and Amanda.
So we have a process. The first step is the Qualified Beach Vending Certificate, which is the application that he was speaking of. And that's kind of letting us know what you're doing, whether it's photography, picnics, sandcastles, weddings, I mean, all the things. So basically you give us your information, and that helps us verify, number one, that you have your business certificate, you have your insurance, you have all the things that not only protects you, but protects the county. So that's the first step, and that's $400 for the calendar year. So it goes from January to December. Then it comes to, once everything's approved and you get your Qualified Beach Vending Certificate, you can schedule your events, whatever they are, whether it's the photography or whatnot. And we, for Okaloosa County, we manage the island, basically, from Accessway 1 to 7. Those are the locations. The Crab, like Boardwalk, that area, and James Lee over on the more Destin side. And Beasley. Well, right on the island, but so all of those locations, you would reach out to our office. You can call or you can email and just say, hey, I'd like to have a photography session with 10 people at this location. We can let you know, number one, if there's something already scheduled there. That's what we're trying to be courtesy of, so everyone's not piling to the same place.
And we have the footprints of about 10.
Yes, and then it changes, like the threshold with people is really important. 10 and below, you have to let us know where you're going to be, but if you get up to the 50 range or even the 25, it kind of changes the dollar value and what is required for the permit. 50 and over requires a special event permit, and what that does is lets the proper authorities know that there's going to be a group in that area, whether it's public safety, the sheriff's department, our park rangers, just to make sure things don't get out of hand and there's not some other event coming in that's trying to be in your space. So really everything that we do is to make it easier, and then the people that don't reach out to us and try to just come to an area where someone's already permitted to be, that tends to be when we have all the issues. So it's gotten a lot better. I've only been with the county for 5 years. I think this is our 3rd year with park rangers, and we only have 2. So it is very hard for them to cover such a vast area. I know the communication right now has been just education to let people know, because the permits for photography, sandcastles, and picnics, this is our 2nd year with an ordinance where you actually permit those events and you pay your money to do those events. It used to be only weddings and like just large special event permitting. So we're all trying to just make the process easier and make it where it's not difficult for you guys. We're not trying to make it difficult to do business, but we also, it's something that is owned by the county or the public, tax-paying citizens, and it helps what you guys pay, helps, take care of those property.
So what's like a typical turnaround time if someone had an event or a photography session that you feel like they should reach out to you? To give y'all enough time to go through that process?
If you're set up to set up as a vendor, that obviously takes probably the longest time. If you have all your documents and you fill the application out, that can be turned around within probably 48 hours because we have to get signatures by the county administrator on that permit. So there's some signature authority there that has to be signed. So 2 to 3 days, I would say, is pretty normal. If you're calling Monday through Friday to schedule something, Angie's in the office Monday through Friday, we're in the office Monday through Friday, so we can typically let you know if that date's available. We have been working for 5 years to get to an online system where you guys will be able to log in and see what is open, click on it, and do all your scheduling and payment with credit card. Unfortunately, right now, we're still in the 80s where we only accept cash and checks, which is mind-blowing to me, but we have signed a contract with a program and we're expecting it to go live October 1st because that's probably our biggest complaint from people is on the weekends you get somebody that wants you to do photography and we're not in the office to give you a permit. This will definitely change that because I can't think of the photographer's name. She's we've talked to her a lot. She's like, I lose a lot of business because on the weekends when I have something scheduled, y'all aren't in the office to give me a permit. So it's been a long government process to get to this platform and we're building it out right now.
So you need a separate permit for each individual different project you're doing. Like if you're a photographer, you need a different permit for every different project.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's essentially just letting us know where you're going to be. So, and we send a list, if not daily, at least every week of everything that's scheduled, and the rangers have that with them. So if they pull up to Beasley and there's nothing on the schedule and you're there, they're going to approach you. And right now, it's going to be more educational conversation, but like he said, it's kind of getting a little wild out there because there's so many vendors that are trying to be out there. Not even just what you guys are doing, but trying to sell food and things like that. There's different requirements for that, and we have to, obviously know who's doing what.
Yeah.
You mentioned vendors. Do you guys essentially partner with like a vendor like for example anglers? They're doing weddings all the time on the beach throughout the day, and then they have multiple vendors internally that they hire photography
I left
with.
the small piece out there. So for anglers and the boardwalk, those are county properties. However, they're leased by private ownership. So their lease allows them to have the weddings and the things there. They do permit their weddings through our office. Like they'll send all the details and they pay the permitting fee to us. But they manage those properties. The same with James Lee closer to Destin. That is county property, however, it's leased by a private entity and they have the privilege of saying what can happen on their property.
So one thing, I want to say it real quick. So the permits for the county are usually for public access points, okay? And so when there's other factors you need to consider. Homeowners, private properties, you have to have okay with them. You need okay with them, which is usually okay. Homeowners associations, some of them they require. And some municipalities, like Rosemary, Red Beach, all those, you have to have your own special permit for that. And so all those supersede the county limits, okay? So when you're dealing with those type of entities, you have to deal with their permitting also.
And Angie, obviously she's kind of the subject matter expert for us. We're both learning, as much as we can. But even if you reach out to us and it's not our, call to make, we point you in the direction of the right place to be, whether it's City of Destin, where it's anglers, whatever that looks like. So always don't hesitate to reach out. We're going to find the answer in the place you need to be.
So this is where we interface.
Yes.
Because if someone comes to Angie and it doesn't fit within the guidelines, like JD's talking about, Amanda's talking about, she calls me. And if somebody comes to Angie and it's a film, TV series, or a bigger production, and she hasn't heard from me, I call it all these years, because I've been working with him for a long time, the first line of defense. She's on the phone to me. And to say, hey, these people have contacted me, have they contacted you? And So she and I work very closely together, like I call her my ride or die. Yeah, and like for instance, a few weeks ago, she called me and it was a photography shoot. It was at James Lee Park, but it was for primarily social media. I know RJ has mentioned TikTokers and social media, and yes, we do get those. And it was for a women's athletic clothing company. And there was one photographer, but the footprint was a little over 10. So, but she also wanted my input from, is this an okay thing for us to do? You know, so there is very little that slips through the cracks. You know, and unfortunately we live in a time when there's all this running and gangsta shooting. I just got information about that from Panama City today. And, you know, we can only do the best that we can do. There's no way to police everything. Just like when Tiger King came in under the stealth of night, you know, and did a shoot. You know, but yeah, we work that closely together. And, you know, it's worked. Because, you know,
What other questions does anyone else have? Anyone else have any questions?
Excuse me, Megan. I know we're behind the times on technology, but what we have in place definitely works. So.
I'm happy, I have some cards if you guys, it has our information on it, my information, I'm happy to leave that with you guys. I will say, obviously what you were saying is correct, JD. The county obviously doesn't want to miss out on that revenue because this is something we have to maintain and take care of. And they do look for revenue generating services, so I definitely see the conversation continuing, especially with the volume that we deal with. And then as far as the rangers for the kind of controlling of all of it, I know they budgeted at least for one more person for FY27 to kind of add to cover those, number one, 7 days a week pretty much all the time, because I mean, not just the summer and when people are here, but they're here in the fall to take their sand pictures on the beach at Christmas and things like that. So there's definitely going to be some more enforcement, slowly but surely, but that takes a little bit of time. But we don't want to just shut things down either. So any input to make it easier for the people that are doing the right things, we obviously want to hear that feedback as well.
Do you have any questions? We do have one back to you.
I think I have, Angela. I have that I need $250 with my school.
I'm sorry, it is $250. I'm thinking of the special event permit. So yeah, no, you're fine.
So and it was not clear to me, so the process to get that license was very complicated for me.
Oh, really?
I was stressed out. I don't know, I haven't used it yet because my question was, I think I sent an email and never trash can, I don't know, but I thought I can just go to the beach and photo if I have a family session. So I literally have to reach out, even though I have that person, I have to reach out again for each family session.
Right, the qualified beach vendor certificate gives you authority to operate in Okaloosa County. Scheduling your events is kind of where the permits come in. So each one, you would just call and we can go through that. And if you email me, I can send you where it has all the price schedule and everything on it. I'm happy to do that.
Do I have to pay additionally if I have a session for 4 people both?
Less than 10, no.
Okay.
No. So, but anything above that, there's different thresholds with the number of people. And then if you get to 50, then there's other paperwork that you have to fill out. So, but I'm happy to email that to you if you want to send me an email. I can get that over to you.
No, I know now.
I have a question, but I'll let you do.
Yeah. My question to you is, I mean, I've gone to where you get driver's license and various different things. You guys have TVs everywhere, as well as like the TDC that we know that's here, that church development and everything else. But since we have somebody like the PSA and you have a wide range of talented people here, why isn't there a way for Okaloosa County and us to work together and actually promote these things for when people do come over here and they learn to help you guys promote what's going on and teach and educate?
I'm happy to ask that question. Unfortunately, that decision's a little above my pay grade. But I'm happy to, and I don't know if you can speak to the TDD partnership and things like that.
You know, I'd rather not speak to it because it's so case by case, and also it is not, there's different departments in the TDC, there's like the marketing department, where's the budgets and all that, and they don't really take to doing too much of that kind of thing. Like, it just, like for instance, even with me, if I have something, it's the marketing arm that would determine if something like that was done, not the film commission. And they're, they have their own definite ideas and what they spend their dollars on, like little adventures and things like that. But I don't know.
I was just curious, so.
If you can email me, I'm happy to try to get you to that.
Well, I mean, starting conversations like these is always a good way.
That's how I think it started.
This is not the first step.
Because we live here, this is our home.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all working together, doing things, so we can educate, the outsiders of what's coming in and, lead.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have a question, and it's, you can chime in as well. Of all the productions, and I say productions, I mean, let's just call them under 10 people beach sunset shoots, like family shoots. From Pensacola to, Drayton. Today, how many do you think actually have a license, pay the thing and have the $250 license, or B, are going, are happening under the radar, or happening, where are we as far as, because this thing just went into effect like January 1st or last year, or something, when the county took over the permitting requirements and all that stuff. So how many photographers out there are doing shoots that are just blowing this off?
About 95%.
Right.
You're saying that because of the lack of enforcement, current lack of
Well,
enforcement.
yeah.
But also, if you throw Pensacola into the mix, Escambia County has, on their website, they call her film commissioner, she is not, she's a liaison.
Do they have a similar $250 thing?
I don't know, but I will tell you, they do very little permitting in Pensacola. Pensacola's kind of like the Wild Wild West. And people who like to shoot there because they don't have to get, they can try to get a permit. I've had them contact me and say, I'll apply for a permit, but nobody has ever responded. So what happens in Pensacola a lot, and you know this, people just go do their thing.
Yeah.
So you can't compare counties.
Well, until there's a deterrent of, a $500 ticket or something like that, a couple of times you get hit with that, and then you're like, okay, I'll go get the $250 license, and then.
I spoke to Angela at the beginning of the year, and she was like, what's happening out there? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, because every year I call her and I say, give me a list of photographers that are listed as having permits, right? And because I have a Facebook page that I only allow people who have permits or licensed in Okaloosa and Walton County both, because we work in both counties so much, into the Facebook page as photographers, right? So I get a list from them, and 100.
Yeah,
maybe last year?
100 to 125.
This year?
I would say.
What about this year now?
You probably can 150.
Because the state park shut them down, so all of a sudden they had to look at getting stuff. So until there's some kind of real requirement.
Well, this is the third year with the Rangers, and this is the third year that we've had the ordinance for the picnics, the sandcastles, the photography. It only used to be weddings. So I think, and I'm not speaking from what I've heard from Craig, the BCA and whatnot, say, we wanted to have time to educate people. We don't want to just go out there and write $500 tickets. I mean, that wasn't the purpose of having this. The purpose of having it is to educate everyone and then get to that place. But we're almost to that place where it's time to start writing some tickets. Not saying they're going to do that this year or next year, but the only way to get it under control is to, number one, have more people that can enforce it, and number two, there be a fine with people that don't have the right.
Maybe number three, create a video that could be shared publicly that breaks down the information, like a little PSA public service announcement.
Absolutely, because you have them everywhere. I mean, you guys you're killing it with no matter where you go, you see what's going on. It's the same thing. I guess is what I was trying to insinuate. If you put that out there, it's going to bring awareness to even people that bring families here thinking they can get away with it.
We should do a PSA meeting where we have like a 48-hour film festival thing where we all have teams that make different videos.
Well, how did you think that happened?
Well, guys,
Yeah, educational videos.
Yeah.
before we go off on other tangents, does anybody have any more questions for them? Because I don't want to keep them too late. They were kind of.
Yeah, Amanda and Colin, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a question?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes, I did. Are there any sort of like certain projects where you guys wouldn't grant a permit? Let's say like there's somebody that does like scary movies that makes like a sea creature monster and they want to do a photo shoot on the beach. Is that something that's not?
I've never had that question.
Well, I make sea creatures.
If that was the case, I would be here.
I'm just curious if there's certain projects.
Well, I mean, and I don't know, are you filming during the day, filming at night? Because our parks are open sunrise to sunset, so the timeline kind of plays a little bit into there.
Okay.
But it would just depend. I mean, obviously, if you're doing something that's got any sort of guns and things, obviously we have like a public safety note. I know they're very, very strict on those kind of things. So we would just have to work through our normal check process.
Okay.
I'm happy to, if you want to shoot me an email, I'm happy to find out exactly.
That'd
be
cool. And I'm more
Beach access
about
roads, yes.
this than they are, but they're very strict about family them. Like, we cannot buy business to come out, period, no matter what.
Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much for coming and helping us with this and answering questions for us. I appreciate it very much. We hope that next time we can have Walton County and maybe state officials out here would be nice.
But not
And maybe
yes.
I will tell you one thing though, guys. If you ever call them and need something from them, they have been nothing but swift and professional and courteous with me and have responded within, they say 48 hours, but they're being nice to you, but usually they really turn around.
Sometimes people are on vacation.
I know, but they're usually really fast.
But no, it's not just us and Angie. We have a couple other people in the office. Typically, anyone in the office can answer your question. If not, we're gonna get back to you with the answer very quickly.
Real quick, when you set up this web access to permitting and
Yes.
paying and all that stuff, is that mylocation.com? Will be on that, or is it different?
It'll be, the system is called RecDesk, and it'll be a different email. However, we will be sure that we share that social media and everything with the county.
That's gonna be a game changer. That should have been done 3 years ago.
No, it should have been in place when I started, but
That's gonna change
it's been a process, so.
Thank you for your effort, we really appreciate it.
We're super excited. Thank you guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well,
I had a scheduling conflict.
is this supposed to be over with? Well, I can talk all night long. So we got the permit stuff out of the way. Okay. I was gonna talk a little bit about the industry, pricing, and professionalism. You guys wanna hear about it, or do you just, you wanna go have drinks and we talk about it next time? You let me know.
You talk as long as you want.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next slide, see what happens. Can't even remember what's in here. Keep on going. Look at that beautiful shot. Oh my God, why don't we protect this place more? Oh my God, all that trash and stuff. Keep on going. They're noticing, baby. Keep on going. Get ahead of the rules, yeah. Be part of it, you know? Be part of the solution. This whole crying on Facebook about people being on beaches and on sand dunes and stuff, you know. We're adults now, man. And this is a business. So get ahead of it. Don't let other people, you know, ruin your business. Let's talk to the government officials. Let's get this working out. I think that was a brilliant idea. I think I'll bring it up to Angie. I think that you guys should be more involved in helping promote some of this stuff. I think that'll be really, really good. All right, let's go next.
May I ask a question? So at Henderson Beach State Park, I have to make reservations in order to.
Yes, to enter.
They have to make reservations.
Yes. Oh, okay. So let me explain the Henderson State Park thing. What happened? So now you, as a photographer, have to have a reservation. If you put everybody in your car and walk in or drive in, you're cool. You pay your $6 and you walk in, you have the reservation, you get it done, right? If you go in and your client doesn't have a reservation, you're in, they're out. Okay? So understand that. A lot of crying about that this year too. And you've heard it on Facebook. And it happens, you know.
Or Drayton Beach doesn't have it.
What?
Drayton Beach doesn't have that.
That doesn't have it yet?
No, they don't have it. I went there last week and all the photographers do it. I have like a million people in that.
Yeah. So,
Well, they have free permitting in Drayton Beach right now, don't they? State Park.
let's go to the next one.
Great mill.
I mean, interesting.
Here's, I started talking a little bit about money. Money. Look, the beach permit is $250. The Walton County permit is $257.50. Okaloosa tax receipt is $35. Your insurance, you know, shop it around. I've been with the same guys for all this time that I've had insurance, and they're about what, $600, something like that. Something like that. So in all, I'm in for $1,200 for the year.
How much is the permit? The individual permit?
Which one?
Like, those are free, but
Yeah.
you just gotta get the permit to be able to.
Yeah.
Because she just asked how much
Well,
the permit was.
but if you have like a group of 10 or more,
Yeah.
then you have to let them know, and they charge a little bit more, right? But it's not that great.
Gotcha.
And if, like I said, man, if you can't make $1,200 in a photo session or two or three photo sessions or whatever, I'm not very technical how to price your stuff. But if you can't do this within a month of having a business, and you don't have a reason to be on the beach.
Insurance coverage is pretty much all you want.
Yeah. And you know, I'm gonna tell you,
That's pretty standard.
I've been on ads.
I'll give you my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got like great.
How much is yours? Same price?
Yeah, about that. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe, honestly, maybe a little tiny, yeah, but $1 million liability, that's like the going rate.
Man, dude, I've been on set doing car shoots, and power packs blow and stands fall and hit people and stuff. You don't want
Well, you
to
need
not
it,
have
you need
insurance.
it to get permitting for like really anything, like when
Yeah.
I shoot for Jackie, I have it for permitting to go shoot on the National Mall, like that's a
Yeah.
national park, you know,
Yeah.
things like that.
I asked because like most of the stuff I've done the right automotive or things that are board,
Yeah.
contracted out, so I'm underneath whatever. insurance.
Right.
Yeah, and yes,
Right, so
yeah.
It's honestly so good to just
Yeah.
have it yourself,
Oh,
because like even like when I have to shoot in Alice,
Yeah.
like they want you to have liability insurance for
And what-
Alice, because
I'm gonna tell you something else too. I'm shocked that I can walk onto the Henderson property, spa, not have to ever show them that I have insurance, walk into their property, walk on their beach, and shoot without ever showing them it. First time somebody gets injured, and they come after them because they're your clients, oh baby, this stuff is gonna change like crazy here. But that's why I always tell people, just cover yourself. $1,200, baby tax man, here is my $1,200 I have to spend on just expenses on my company. You know what, I'm gonna write it off. Okay? Think of it that way. It may hurt when you write that check to get your insurance, but at the end of the year, you'll be grateful. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Let's see what else we have up here. Oh, let's go talk about cost-split sessions, because this is affecting our industry in more ways than one. Nobody ever wants to give you what their pricing is or what it costs, what they charge their clients, okay? Because everybody has their own wants and needs. You know, Sierra lives at home with her parents, and she's got her car paid off, and she doesn't have an apartment, she doesn't have any other costs that you might have because you have a home, you have children or grandchildren, whatever you have, right? Everybody has different wants and needs in this business, in this life of ours, right? So if she can make it with 125, and that's good money for her, kudos, baby. That's all she needed, that's all she wanted, right? That's all, she's making the business, and she's good, okay? If she walks away with 125 in her pocket, she's good. You, that may not be the same case for you.
That'd be close.
So you need to understand, what do I need to survive? What do I need to cover my costs and make money? Because if you're not making money, you just have an expensive hobby, baby. You really do. You're just throwing money out the door. You might as well just not even charge. Because you're not making anything. And it's a reality, okay? So, people here tend to want to charge per hour. They'll say 1 hour, $175, $450 for an hour. Well, that's good if you've got 4 people or 2 people. But what about if you have 15 or 19 in your group and you're photographing them? I'm guaranteeing you're losing money. Because that 1 hour shoot, that's nothing. Editing. Now let's talk about that. Okay, if you have 4 people, 2 hours of editing, good, you're doing good. You're okay. You got 15, you got 19 people with 15 different, they want the parents, they want the group shot, they want the parents with the grandparents with the grandkids, and they want 15 setups, basically, is what you want, what they want, right? Then you take that home. You've got 560, 600 images. If you think you can do that in 2 hours, good luck. You're much better than I am. It's going to take you 3 or 4 hours to just edit, select the first ones, go through and clean them up if you're a pro. If you just want to throw this up, that's fine. But if you want to be a pro and look like a pro, it's going to take you some time to edit. Okay? There's some software out there now. AI is getting better. That's good. But AI doesn't know my style. They can't mimic my eye. And I'm very technical about what I put out there. So I want to make sure it looks like me. So it's going to take me 4 to 5 hours to clean it up. If you're not calculating that time as money going out the door, you're losing. Okay? We're not going to talk about permits, fuel, vehicle, equipment replacement, software, website, processing, accounting, marketing. You got to take all those things into consideration when you're doing your numbers. If you can't cover that, you don't have a business. You, like I said, you have an expensive hobby. Let's go to the next one. Sorry. 2 years ago, I think it was 11,000. 2 years ago, my operating expenses, with marketing, with the amount of marketing I was doing stuff, I think this was 2024, was about $11,000 that I had to, I knew there was hard numbers that I had to cover, right? 6 months, because we only work, let's be honest, we only work 6 months out of the year here as we're a photographer. And it varies. March, April, May, slow. June, July, August, man, if you can see your tail, you're lucky, because you're busy out there. I hope you are. I hope all of you are. But, so I started with 11,000 as just a number, okay? Photographers are real bad about this. They see that the hour they have to put in, maybe the editing, they're good about the editing sometimes not. But they forget about all the little things. That lead that came because you did advertising and marketing before. You spent time doing that. How much time did you do that to post stuff on social media and get stuff out? That's money. That's time. That's money, right? You get that lead in, you got to call them. You gotta talk to them. You gotta give them the information. You gotta provide stuff. I'm a kind of a weird little guy about numbers and calculating stuff. On average, for me, 45 minutes to an hour from my lead time to my delivery time. And that doesn't mean all at once. That's from me, hi, my name's JD, I hear you want photos. Great. You want it, let me send you, here's the numbers, here's everything, blah, blah, blah. I'm a technical guy, so I say, let me send you a summary. So I gotta put a summary together, send it to them. They get it, they respond, maybe they don't. Another phone call, another email, another text, whatever it is. Reach out to them one more time, find out, are they still interested? Nothing yet. Again, third time, so you don't bug them, but there you go. That's 3 times you contacted them, plus your summary. Let's say they say yes. Now you put together a contract. How long does it take you to put a contract together? Put that contract, send it to them. They haven't signed it. Contact them again. Maybe they did sign it, and that's great. All those little things in between. They sign, they send you a deposit, all that. You contact them about the weather. Hey, your session's coming up. We're about to meet tomorrow. Weather looking bad, whatever. All that communication. Money, man, it's just dribbling out of my pocket. It's just running out of my pocket. Because that's time, man. Time is money, right? I did numbers on mine. I did from lead to end, 45 minutes from now. This is what I got. Gosh, man, that's a lot of money for now. Especially when you got, you think that sounds, man, it's not bad. JD, it's not that bad. What about if you got 5 or 10 calls that day? Summertime, it's very possible. I average about 7 to 8 phone calls a day where people are leads coming in. So I'm like, add that together. Now we're not talking 45 minutes. We're talking hours worth of time that it's running out of my pocket, baby. It's running. And I hate it. I hate it. So I got ahead of it. I built a CRM. Guess what? You know how much time I spend on it now? Less than 10 minutes.
You build your own CRM or you use it outside third party?
I built my own.
You build your own?
10 minutes. I built it for this market. I built it for that seasonal photography event business that we have here. Because less than 10 minutes or 45 minutes. Add up.
You should sell that CRM to other.
I am.
Okay.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. Because, and they don't fall through the cracks any longer. They just don't, because they come into the CRM, they contact me through text message, whatever. Hey, here's my website. Please go fill this up and make sure that you're in. And they are now listed. I have information. I also have their information. They're coming for their birthday. Guess what? Next year, they're going to get a message saying happy birthday. They're coming for their anniversary. Guess what? I have their information. Happy anniversary. Don't forget to book with me. All that information is now coming to one little funnel for me. Right? So I'm going to keep that. The other thing, there's a dark side in our business. There's we're dealing with the general public, and they can be nasty. They can be nasty. And I've had situations where people don't want to pay, or they've called me a liar, or, which I'm dealing with right now, I didn't even have as a client, and gave me a bad Google review. I've worked 9 years to build over 500 Google reviews, 5-star reviews. And these two little ones have gone to Google and said, I did something, I didn't even have them in my books. I didn't even have anything to do with them. I didn't have communication, I didn't have anything to do with them. There's no contract, nothing. Guess what? This new CRM system. And I did this before. I even did it before I did CRM. I had spreadsheets, I had call logs, I had everything. I always do. I documented it. Because when somebody comes to me and says, you didn't tell me, I say, look at your contract. Look at your summary. It's all in there, right? I can give them time, date, and this is who I spoke to. You have it all in front of you. I have it in front of me. I know you do, because I can see where it went. And you have it, okay? When I talk to Google, when I talk to anybody that is important, that I need to as a business, we're the only ones as a business, as an industry, that treat it like a hobby. When an attorney reaches out to me and says, my client, you cheated my client and stuff, and I say, where did I cheat him? Because here's the information. They're going to go, oh, sorry, okay, well maybe I found a loophole to get to you, but you know, that's something else. I have the information now, okay? So be professional. Your business needs to be professional. It needs to be, you have to be on top of your game, okay? Know your numbers. Whatever you need to make a living, you do it. I personally have a base number that my sessions are at for a certain amount of people, which is my base. After that, everybody pays. Because I told you this. I lost a project to someone, or a session to someone, who said, they called me and said, we liked 19 people, 15 shots for $450 because this other photographer's doing it. And they're giving us the whole gallery. I was like, can't do it. Just can't do it. And they were like, well, why can't you? What makes you different than me? So I gave them the whole speech. Here's the years of experience. You know what you're going to get from me. You're going to get a contract. You're going to get everything that you need. And this is my quality of work. Who you're going to go with and how somebody else does business is their business. And if I lose you, I hope that you come back to me sometime, right? One more thing that I learned this year is you have business, you have business, you have business, you have business. You can say no. You can always say no. If that client isn't the right one, if I reach out to them and they don't want to talk to me, or I speak to them and it doesn't feel right, and you know it, you'll know the conversation, I say no. I would rather say no than to deal with the problems afterwards. I guarantee you, if you do your job right, you do it well, and you stick to your guns, you're going to get the clients that you want, okay? There is no need to lowball. And I'm seeing a lot this year of lowballing. But I'm not planning to be here this year only. I'm here to be here 10 years, 20 years. I want to well, I am retired. I want to retire. I want to live here for the rest of my life, right?
Right.
So make sure that whenever you're doing business, make sure your numbers, make sure that you're planning for what you want.
Know your value, yeah.
Yeah, know your value. And
stick to it.
Yeah, you know, this whole thing about giving your entire gallery away, man, oh my God, my money's leaving me, you know, because it's crazy. I mean, you don't go to a pizza place, a pizza bar, and go, oh my God, I love this pepperoni pizza, but I want onions on it and green peppers and mushrooms and stuff on it, but I only want to pay for the cheese pizza that you're going to give me. It doesn't happen that way in any other business, so don't let it happen to you. Don't let them run the show, okay? I'm not saying being mean to people, because that's not what I do. I treat everybody that I have as client as a family member. Like I want to be treated. But I'm not going to let somebody take advantage of me. I worked way too long, too hard to get where I'm at. and so have you. So don't spend your dad's and mom's money on college and not charge for what you learned and what it took you to do where you're at now. You too, young lady. Don't give it away, all right? You give it away.
Alright, so because we're running a little long, I don't wanna, if there's anything else you want to share before we ask the last final questions for JD, anyone have any questions for him?
Any questions?
Yeah, how hard was it for you to change that? I'm sure you probably shot with large format films.
Yes.
And if you did, how did you make that transition into digital? Because digital, I mean, Bill, by the way, captured the soul of photography versus digital that just captured it.
Oh, baby,
It was tough to change.
Dude, it's a box with a hole in it. Come on, man.
Yeah, it was, because all the little squares, that was so hard. I mean, how did you change?
You had said you started digital earlier than other people.
Yeah,
Were you
okay,
using Kodak?
No, here, this is what happened. I was shooting for Foley's, Neiman Marcus in Dallas at a studio. And there was a rep in town, in the studio that's going around looking at stuff and looking at photographers. I had no idea what they were doing. I was just there shooting some stuff in the studio. And somebody knew from the studio that I had digital background, or I had computer background. And this guy came up to me and goes, we have a studio called in Las Colinas, Dallas, and we're gonna make it into a digital studio. And I was like, what the hell is that? And they said, but we've got a small one in St. Louis, where we're testing everything and trying everything. You wanna come? And I said, what is digital? They said, it's gonna take over film. I
And you're
said,
like, yeah, sure.
I was like, no way ever, but I'll come. And I went.
Is this large format?
Large format. Frickin' wired
Yeah.
4 times the size of this thing, hooked up to your laptop computer, and it was just the phase one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it there yet? You know, remember that? It was forever. But I was like,
Yeah, the first stuff was wild.
holy smokes. I went back to Dallas and I told the photographers I was working for, or that I had worked with, I said, dude, oh my God, if this ever gets into a small format, we're in a lot of trouble. We're gonna be in a lot of trouble. And they're like, you're shitting me, this will never catch up. Like, just look at that Kodachrome guys.
Yeah,
Remember the Kodachrome guys? And they were like, and that way, and I was like, 6 months from now, you're gonna call me and I'm gonna be your consultant. I'm gonna be your consultant, and that's it. I became a consultant because I would, yeah. But transitioning from film to digital was difficult because habits. And I just learned that with the CRM. It's not the system, it's not the product, it's not. That wasn't the issue. It's our mind. Our mind was what was wrong. We had to learn it and get rid of those old habits.
Trying to be progressive. And It's so
Yeah.
fast. It's so fast.
And so digital, when I say it's just a box, I really do mean it. It's a camera, it's a box, it's got a hole in it. What you do with it.
Well, back in the day, back at that time, the image acquisition was developing so that the Photoshop programs and stuff had gotten to the point where, you didn't have Lightroom, you didn't have.
No, you had to light it correctly. You
had to.
You didn't have anything.
You had to shoot it like film.
Yeah, you had to shoot it like film.
Like Chrome. So there.
Can I tell a really funny story? This reminded me of. So 2001, I was working as a journalist for a magazine and a newspaper. We did Youth Olympics. So I was a sports photographer and a journalist. And we got to use digital cameras for the first time in this project, whatever you want to call it. And I had to photograph ski jumping with a digital camera. So it was like, I had to really practice it because I had to really time, like, okay, they're jumping now, I'm gonna take a photo now, and then like hoping that they would like land in the frame.
Yeah, yeah.
But somehow.
I worked for NFL Films.
Did you?
98 to 2005.
Yeah.
And the Kodak Kodak had the first 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
big,
yeah,
deep,
yeah, yeah.
long things that they were using at the NFL, but that didn't last that long.
Oh, man, yes.
Technology
It's changed so fast.
And I'm gonna tell you,
Pixel into so big squares.
and now, and I hate talking bad about young photographers sometimes, but, or people who just picked up the digital camera and became photographers, but you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell, man. You can tell that they have no background and they don't have that correct eye for light.
Yep.
Or composition a lot of times, because they're not creating images, they're capturing images. And there's a big difference. There's a difference between creating an image where you actually look at it and go, okay, what about if I just do this or do this, right? Or knowing what the light is actually doing. It's a lack of knowledge, and it's not their fault, because digital gave them the opportunity to just go out and do it.
And you can always change it after the fact.
Yeah, and like I said, back in the day,
But shoot chromes.
man, you run.
Spot on.
Oh man,
Oh.
I don't know if you guys remember, but do you remember when we used to shoot film and you just run a strip? I know. And you run a test strip, and then you run it to a lab.
Well, you do snip tests. If you did 120s, you shot the first 2 frames.
You guys don't know this, but
You shoot the first 2 frames of your Hasselblad or whatever as a throwaway, and then the lab would snip it and develop it. And,
yeah. So we would,
Just
okay.
make a note for a future event to be like stories
Like a
of the
nostalgia.
old-
Right. So we did a whole event.
We would shoot, let's say it was a car, right? And you shoot 20 rolls of it, right? So the first roll, you would take to the lab, and the lab would snip 2 frames. They would go in the darkroom, snip 2 frames, process that. You'd have to come back 2 hours later to look at see if it was right. Then you go, oh, I want to push it 1 stop, 2 stops, half a stop, whatever, to make it the rest of the film look the way you wanted it, because you shot everything the same way. So then, but most photographers would go first roll, they'd do the first snip, second snip, third snip, so that they would know what they wanted. It took hours, man, and trust me, because I was an assistant at that point in time, and I was the one that loaded the vehicle, took the equipment back to the studio, unloaded it, took the damn film to the lab, had to wait for 2 hours for it to be processed, bring it back to and check it out, see if it was perfect, then run some more film.
Especially JD in the paint.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, let's go around. Really mindful of time, because we're so grateful to the chamber for letting us be here till 8 o'clock, so we're a little, but JD, thank you. I mean, I would listen to you talk forever about all this stuff, honestly. It's a lot to learn and know. The only thing I'm gonna mention this evening, 2 things I'm gonna mention. First of all, our next meeting in September, Sierra is actually we are going to be offering 30-second videos. Come to our meeting, get a 30-second video done. This could be for your website, for social media, if you're an actor trying to get maybe record like a monologue. I'm gonna do an example and we're gonna post one, but you'll basically have a 30-second professionally edited and shot video for your choosing, or what you'd like to talk about in those 30 seconds. So that's me in September, Sierra, we're excited.
Thanks, Sierra.
For that.
And for your social media posts.
We're actually debating, and this is like a hot topic, is if we film it, like which direction, what, because we're not gonna switch back and forth, so what do you choose? And that's like a really good question and debate. That's what I would say as filmmaker. But anyway, I think that's probably what we'll do. The other thing I wanted to mention is normally historically the PSA now does meet all sorts of different locations. It's good to be, this is our home base, it's good to be back here. But historically when we met here all the time, we would gather information about the productions people are working on just with paper. But we are now doing this digitally. So who in this room worked on productions 2025 or 2026? All y'all should be QR coding that right now and entering in your info. It helps our county, it helps our county commissioner know what's going on. So we're trying to capture that. So should be really easy. And that's it. We've got other fun stuff on the horizon, but I'm not going to mention anything right now. I want to give people a few minutes to go on the network.
Oh,
And
in October, we're going to be doing our showcase. So
Oh,
if you
yeah.
are a filmmaker, you can send Megan or I an email so we can include your work
we're going to post about
into
that
our
soon.
fall showcase.
Yeah, October showcase.
Where is this at?
Where are we gonna have
Is
that?
it gonna be here? September meeting, where will it be?
That, we're finalizing a studio space right now. The default is RJ's, but we might go to another studio space, we're not sure.
Well, is this just Okaloosa County or also different?
Oh, no, any Northwest Florida.
No.
Yeah, Panama City to Pensacola. Yeah, for sure. Good questions. Okay, thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate all of you. Thanks, RJ.
Thanks, RJ. Thanks, RJ. That was hard work.
Good.